Tell us a little bit about offensive tackle Dawand Jones.
Wow. I tell you what, that's a mountain of a man. he only showed up for the first day, and then the next day was Wednesday, the first practice on Tuesday. The next day he didn't show up to the media event, and then he wasn't at practice the rest of the week. I don't know what happened to him. He's 6'7". Whoa. I think he's 352 pounds.
Jeez.
I think my opinion is I think the Senior Bowl just didn't want to feed him the rest of the week.
Running the bill up.
Now I do feel I gotta say real quick, I am a little bit embarrassed here. This is a name I don't know. He's an Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah, he plays for Ohio State. He plays offensive tackle. I think he played the left side, but he is.
You know what? Now that we're talking about him, now of course, obviously watching all the games, now I can picture him. I just didn't make the connection until just now.
He is just huge. He's absolutely huge. When he shook my hand, I have not had a hand that big since DeBrickashaw Ferguson played for the Jets back in the late 90s, early 2000s. His hand just engulfed me. I think his official size listed is 6'8", 360. Now, he's probably going to be a second rounder. Going into the Senior Bowl, he was listed as a third rounder, but that one practice he showed up, obviously nobody got around him. Now, in a game situation where you got stunts and where you got people that are going opposite directions that you think they're going to go as an offensive tackle, is one thing. But in a practice where you're going one-on-one, it's just you and that guy, and he's either going to go right, left, or through you, and nobody could do that. All these other defensive ends that were great against offensive linemen that were at the Senior Bowl, they were not good against this guy. Nobody got around, and he's a lot quicker than I thought he was going to be. He's got a pretty good first step on his own. He's got long reach. He's just a heavy, heavy guy, so you're not going to bull rush him. So you got to try to get around him. And all he would do is he would just push out, and before you know it, he was the defensive lineman was deeper than the quarterback, and that's all he had to do. All he had to do was get this guy not to do any kind of swim moves or any kind of twist, just push him beyond the quarterback, and that was good enough.
I'm just kind of reading some PFF here, and it says they're saying if you've got a mobile quarterback, Deshaun Watson, this is the guy that you want at right tackle. Said you're like you just said, Barry, you're not going to be able to just go through him, and it says chances are that he's going to be touching you before you're touching him. So
absolutely,
everything you're saying, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and everybody on that first practice was just in awe of him. It was just that was the talk of the first day of practice on the North practice or whatever they're called now. Everybody talked about Dawand Jones, and just standing next to him, you know, it's like being on the first row at the movie theater where you have to crane your neck and look straight up. He's just a mountain. Now, he played for Ohio State, so that makes me believe that he can be able to stay in a game for 4 quarters. Because if you're in the Big Ten, you're playing Wisconsin, Penn State, and Michigan State, and Michigan, and you're playing Northwestern. You're playing against a lot of big competition, tough competition. So it's not like he's playing Morgan State and dominating these guys. So when a guy gets that big, you have to wonder, is he going to last 4 quarters? And if he came from the Big Ten, the answer to that, I would assume, is yeah.
I mean, we've talked about we've got some problems at tackle.
A lot of uncertainty
and not a whole lot of depth.
How's the motor? Just from what you saw, buddy, how do you feel about the motor?
Yeah, is he taking plays off?
Well, all we saw was one-on-ones in that one practice. He didn't play in the game. I didn't see him the rest of the week. So when he was just in one-on-ones, but I don't know how he would go all game. Now, he's a big guy, but he's a lot more agile than I would have thought. I've seen a lot of big guys like that just couldn't. I've never met Orlando Pace, but I've seen him play. Or Tony Nunez. Those were huge, huge guys, but they had a good first step, and they know once they put their hands on you, you're not going anywhere unless they allow that to happen. And most of the time, they just kind of force you to go way back in the backfield so that you're out of play on a passing down. Run game, that's completely different. They're firing off the ball. They engage you. You're just there. You're just there for the ride. And but he just looks like he's going to be a second-round pick. I'd love to see him show there. I am not a big fan of Jedrick Wills. I like Jack Conklin. If he can stay healthy, if Jedrick Wills can stay healthy, I think we need to bring in a good, serviceable, experienced tackle this year, because is that going to be Chris Hubbard? Are they going to sign him? Is that going to be James Hudson? He's played a lot. But, we found out when Conklin and Wills both went down that we were in big trouble. If we can get somebody that we can take, say, in the second round and groom him for a year and then just have him slide right in his second year, and I think this could be that guy.
So you're telling me just pick up that 5th year on Wills just as a mentoring relationship for this guy.
Yeah. I think they did that out of protection so that they could, get him another year. And I don't know. I'm just not a fan of him. His pass blocking is pretty good. His run blocking, he just doesn't seem to stay engaged long enough for me. And he's got all that size and all that girth, and I just don't understand that.
That's why we were asking you about Jones's motor, because we've felt for a long time that Wills just doesn't have a high running motor. He just seems to kind of take plays off or stop partway through a play. If he gets beat, he just kind of shrugs it off, says, "Oh well," and doesn't even try to make it up any ground.
Yeah.
And I cover the game, all the Browns game, and do a column after it called Brownies and Frownies, and I have the NFL Sunday ticket this year, so I'm able to stop, rewind it, fast forward it, slow-mo, frame by frame. As the game is being live, then I catch up. I have seen, I don't know how many plays, Wills would lose his man would do a swim move or a twist and get into the play, and Wills is just standing there. Watching
the play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just standing there watching the play, and it just went on in several different games, and it's just I just think we need to bring somebody in and start grooming them for that. And it's like having a backup girlfriend, I guess.
Okay.
Just in case.
This one's taking too many plays off.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And a lot of it has to do with stamina.
Yeah.
And I understand that for a big guy. Anybody that's over 300 pounds has got to get tired. And, it's not like you're playing receiver or safety or cornerback where you can touch a guy on a play. Offensive and defensive line, you're engaging somebody every single play all game.
Right.
So come the fourth quarter, your legs feel like noodles. They absolutely do. And if the guy in front of you is pretty much not dominated you, but taking care of you, and you're struggling against him all game, that fourth quarter is even worse.